When you stop talking to a man, it's not just silence, it's a seismic shift. The kind that knocks the air out of his lungs and leaves him spinning. Your energy, once steady and unshakable, is gone. Not diminished, not dimmed, gone. And in its place, a void so sharp, so undeniable, it forces him to face everything he's been avoiding. At first, he might shrug it off. She's just busy. But as the hours crawl by, that bravado starts to crumble. The questions creep in, one after another, louder and louder. What happened? Did I do something? Who's taking my place? His mind becomes a battlefield, his thoughts eating away at the confidence he thought he had. Your silence isn't just empty space, it's a statement, louder than any words could ever be. It screams, "I'm not waiting around. I'm not here to fix, chase, or beg." You've stopped feeding his ego, stopped being the one who always reaches out first, always smooths things over. You've reclaimed your time, your energy, your peace. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. A man doesn't truly value what he doesn't fear losing. When you pull back, when you go silent, it's not a game, it's a wake-up call. He's forced to face the reality he's been too blind or too arrogant to see. He realizes that your presence was never guaranteed. And then it hits. The weight of your absence, the gnawing uncertainty, the regret. He starts replaying conversations, dissecting every text, every moment, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. He might scroll through your photos late at night, staring at the version of you he thought would always be there. But you're not. This silence isn't about him, though. It's about you. It's about finding yourself again, outside of his orbit. It's about realizing you're the prize, not the consolation. You're the one who deserves effort, respect, and love, not scraps. Maybe he'll come running, desperate to fill the void. Maybe he'll stay silent, proving he was never really invested. Either way, your silence will show you everything you need to know. Let this be your reminder. Your worth isn't tied to his response. It's not about what he does or doesn't do. It's about you standing tall, knowing you deserve more than breadcrumbs. If this hit home, let's keep the conversation going. Drop your story in the comments, because you're not alone in this. And before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This isn't just a video, it's a reality check. Every second is packed with truth, so don't skip ahead. Let it hit you, let it challenge you, and let it remind you of your power. Number 1. He feels shock and confusion. The first hit lands like a punch to his chest, unexpected, disorienting, and impossible to ignore. He's been riding on the rhythm of your attention, the steady drumbeat of your texts, calls, and care. And now, silence, deafening, brutal silence. It shatters his sense of normalcy like glass hitting concrete. In his mind, the questions begin to swirl like a storm. What just happened? Did I mess up? Is she gone for good? He replays moments like a broken record, dissecting every word, every gesture, looking for clues to explain the shift. Here's the thing. Humans are creatures of habit. When we grow used to someone's presence, we assume it'll always be there, like the sun rising in the east. But when that light suddenly vanishes, it's like being plunged into darkness. And in that darkness, he's left to face himself. Your silence is no ordinary void. It's a mirror reflecting back every crack in his facade. He's forced to confront the truth he's been avoiding. He took you for granted. He expected you to always be there, filling the gaps, smoothing the edges, making it easy for him. But now, those gaps are his to navigate alone. And here's where it gets real. His confusion is not your burden to carry. Don't you dare swoop in to soften the blow, to explain yourself, to ease his discomfort. Let him sit in it. Let him wrestle with the weight of his own questions. This is his wake-up call, not your rescue mission. Because this moment, it's not about him, it's about you. It's about drawing the line and saying, no more. No more overextending, no more over-explaining, no more over-giving to someone who's done nothing but take. So, let him feel the shock. Let him drown in the confusion. And while he's scrambling to figure out what went wrong, you'll be standing taller, reclaiming your time, your energy, your power. This silence. It's not weakness, it's your roar. Number 2, he starts reflecting on the relationship. The silence you've left behind? It's not empty, it's a pressure cooker, and he's stuck inside. The noise of his own thoughts is deafening, tearing through every layer of his pride, forcing him to face the one thing he's avoided: himself. Every memory of you, every laugh, every touch, it all floods back, sharper than ever. He starts dissecting every word he said, every action he didn't take. And the truth? It's brutal. He knows, deep down, that he let you down, that he treated your effort like an endless resource instead of the gift it was. This isn't just reflection, it's reckoning. It's the gut-wrenching realization that your energy was his lifeline, and now it's gone. The texts that stopped, the calls that vanished. They were more than habits. They were the pulse of the connection, and now he's left gasping for air. But here's the part that cuts even deeper. He's starting to see the cracks in his own armor. The way he avoided responsibility, dodged accountability, and leaned on your patience like a crutch. Now, there's no one to clean up the mess he made. He's standing alone, staring into the mirror, and the reflection isn't pretty. Meanwhile, you're on your own path, but this time it's different. You're not looking back. You're not sitting by the phone. You're pouring every ounce of energy he took for granted back into yourself, fueling your growth, your confidence, your unshakable sense of worth. And that realization, it shakes him, because now he sees what he lost. Not just a partner, but a force. Not just someone to lean on, but someone who elevated him, and he let it slip through his fingers. Your silence isn't just a pause, it's a statement. It screams, you don't get to take me for granted anymore. You don't get to coast while I carry the weight. And that hits him harder than any words ever could. Let him sit in that reflection. Let him face the storm. Because this time, you're not the one holding the umbrella. You're the lightning, and he's just now realizing the power you held all along. Number 3, he tests boundaries. When confusion starts to eat at him and reflection turns into desperation, he shifts gears. He tests you. He doesn't storm in like a knight. No, he sneaks in through cracks, poking and prodding to see if you'll crumble. Maybe it's a random hey at midnight, the kind that reeks of convenience. Or he posts some cryptic nonsense on social media, a song lyric, a photo, something dripping with fake nonchalance but designed to stab right at your heart. He's not just testing the waters, he's seeing if he still owns the current. This isn't just boundary testing, it's power testing. He wants to know, are you really done? Or can I pull you back into the same cycle where I hold the strings? He's baiting you, trying to see if you'll take it. And this is where the battle gets real. If you react, if you jump at his breadcrumbs, you hand him the power he thought he lost. One impulsive move, one emotional reply, and he knows you're still within his grasp. But if you don't, if you pause, breathe, and hold your ground. That's when the game flips. Your silence isn't weakness, it's unshakable strength. Every second you don't respond screams louder than any words ever could. You don't own me. You don't control me. Here's the truth. Boundary testing isn't about love, it's about ego. He's trying to reclaim the comfort of knowing you're still orbiting him, but your lack of response forces him to face the brutal reality. You've stepped out of his gravity, and now he's the one left spinning. Don't let him pull you back into the chaos. His cryptic texts, his staged posts, his desperate moves, they're not your responsibility. You don't owe him an explanation, a reaction, or a second chance. This is about more than ignoring him. It's about showing yourself that you've risen above, that you're not the same person who tolerated scraps, who bent to keep the peace, who overgave while he underdelivered. When he tests your boundaries, let your silence be a fortress. Let your self-control be a roar. Because you've already won the moment you decided you're not playing by his rules anymore. Number 4. He seeks closure. As the silence stretches longer, it begins to gnaw at him. Not just at his ego, but at the core of his understanding of what went wrong. And then it happens. He reaches out, but this time it's different. It's not a casual text or a baited post. It's a direct confrontation, laced with confusion and desperation. Did I do something wrong? Or worse, why did you stop talking to me? It's the oldest trick in the book, the I just want to understand card. But let's be real, it's not understanding he's after. It's control. He wants to tie up the loose ends, to wrap your silence in a tidy bow so he can walk away feeling better about himself. This isn't about your peace, it's about his. And here's where it gets raw. Do you owe him closure? The world screams, yes. Society conditions you to feel like you have to explain, to soothe, to hand him the emotional roadmap to his own growth. But the truth, you don't owe him a damn thing. Closure isn't a gift you deliver on a silver platter. It's not a handwritten letter, perfectly packaged for his comfort. Closure is a fire he has to sit with, a mirror he has to look into, and a journey he has to walk alone. It's not yours to carry, and it's not yours to fix. Because here's the reality. Explaining yourself might give him a moment of clarity, but at what cost to you? Reopening old wounds? Dredging up emotions you've already worked to put to rest? For what? So he can sleep better at night? No, your peace comes first. Your silence isn't just an absence, it's a boundary, a declaration that your emotional well-being is no longer up for negotiation. So, when he comes knocking for closure, you decide what's best for you. If speaking your truth feels empowering, do it. But if staying silent protects your peace, then let the silence roar. Let him wrestle with the questions. Let him feel the weight of the consequences. Let him learn that not every chapter ends with a neatly written epilogue. Sometimes the most powerful lesson comes from the emptiness left behind. Because closure, it's not something you give. It's something he has to find, without you holding his hand. And that's his battle, not yours. Number 5, he reacts emotionally. When your presence fades, his emotions erupt, and not like a gentle stream. No, this is a full-blown volcanic explosion. The silence you left behind isn't just an empty void. It's a pressure point that forces everything he's buried to come crashing to the surface. He might lash out. Angry texts, sharp words, accusations meant to claw their way back into your attention. Or maybe it's a complete meltdown, masked as, I just need to know how you feel. Some men crumble under the weight, spilling every suppressed emotion in a desperate attempt to regain footing. Others retreat, drowning in their own internal storm, unable to face what they've lost. This isn't just raw emotion, it's exposure. Whatever mask he wore, whatever control he pretended to have, it's gone now. Your absence doesn't just unsettle him, it unravels him. Every feeling he ignored, every moment he dismissed, your silence drags it all to the surface, merciless and unfiltered. The anger, the sadness, the guilt, it's messy, it's chaotic, and it's real. And in this raw, unguarded state, his true self emerges. Not the version he shows the world, but the one he hides even from himself. This moment, it's not about him losing you. It's about him losing the security your presence provided. You were his stability, his safe haven, his constant source of validation. Without it, he's forced to face the emptiness within himself, and it's a terrifying reckoning. But here's where you rise above. His emotional chaos is not your responsibility. His reaction isn't a reflection of you, it's a mirror of his own insecurities, his own regrets, his own shortcomings. Let him feel the weight of his emotions. Let him stumble through the rubble of what he let fall apart. Because in that chaos, one thing becomes crystal clear. You were never the one who needed fixing. Your silence isn't just a void, it's a revolution. It shakes him to his core, forcing him to confront everything he's avoided. And while he's caught in the whirlwind of his emotions, you're standing tall, unshaken, unapologetic, and free. This isn't just a reaction, it's revelation. And whether he crumbles or rises is his journey, not yours. You've already chosen yourself, and that choice, it's the most powerful move you'll ever make. Number 6. He evaluates your worth. When the constant buzz of your presence is gone, the silence you've left behind isn't just a gap. It's a mirror, and he's forced to stare into it. Suddenly, he starts putting the puzzle pieces together. Your kindness, your patience, the moments you filled with laughter, and the way you tried to balance the chaos he often brought. But this isn't just reflection, it's reckoning. And how he reacts says more about him than it does about you. A man with depth, with maturity, will sit with the truth and acknowledge the value you brought. He'll recognize the nights you stayed up listening to him ramble, the energy you poured into building him up, the way you stood by when others would have walked away. But an insecure man? An immature man? He won't face the mirror, he'll shatter it. He'll rewrite the story, rationalizing his failure to step up, convincing himself you were too much or not enough. He'll dismiss your absence because the alternative, admitting he blew it, is too much for his fragile ego to bear. Here's the raw, unfiltered truth. His evaluation of your worth doesn't define it. Whether he sees it today, tomorrow, or never, it changes nothing. Your worth isn't a reflection of his realization. It's a force that stands on its own, unshaken and unapologetic. And while he's busy sorting through the mess he created, it's your turn to ask the real questions. Was he meeting your needs? Did he respect your boundaries? Did he pour into you the way you poured into him? Or were you standing in the pouring rain, hoping he'd show up with an umbrella he never intended to bring? This isn't about his conclusion. It's about yours. His judgment of you is a side note, not the headline. The real story is you reclaiming the energy you spent trying to prove your worth to someone who should have seen it from the start. So let him evaluate. Let him wrestle with the emptiness of your absence and the gravity of his loss. Because no matter what he decides, the fact remains. You were never the one lacking. You were the one carrying the weight, holding the line, bringing the light. And now you're shining it on yourself. This isn't just his moment of realization, it's yours. And in that clarity, you rise, untouchable, undeniable, and unstoppable. Number 7, he reaches out. The moment will come. That moment when the silence is too heavy, when the weight of your absence crushes him from the inside out. He'll reach out. Maybe it's out of desperation, maybe out of curiosity, or maybe, just maybe, it's an ego that's crumbling, looking for a way back into your world. But don't you dare mistake his message for vulnerability. It's not a love letter. It's not some soulful revelation. It's a test, a low-key attempt to rekindle the connection, like trying to throw a match into a forest fire that's already burned everything to the ground. He'll send something casual, slick with fake nonchalance. Hey, it's been a while. As if your absence didn't punch a hole in his chest. Or maybe he'll dust off an old inside joke, playing the nostalgia card like it's some magic potion to make you forget everything that's happened. And here's the catch. This is where the game changes. This is where you stop reacting out of habit. This is where you stop being the one who's always there, the one who answers every text, the one who bends when he calls. This is your moment to take back the narrative. So, don't rush to respond. Don't fall for the trap. Pause. Let his message sit in the air like smoke, thick with the scent of unresolved feelings and hidden motives. Before you even think about touching your phone, ask yourself, what the hell do I want from this? Is this just him looking for a quick ego boost, trying to reel you back in with whatever half-hearted line he thinks will work? Or is this the first time he's genuinely looked at himself in the mirror and seen the mess he made? The truth is, he's coming back because he can't stand the space you've created. He's craving your energy, your validation, your attention. But the truth doesn't need to be sugar-coated, so why would you serve it to him on a silver platter? If his message feels like a real attempt, if you can feel the shift in his energy, if he's willing to put in the work, then respond. But not like the old version of you. Don't be over-eager. Don't let him think you're still waiting. It's good to hear from you. Hope everything's going well. Keep it cold, keep it neutral, let it sting. But if it feels like a game, a quick text to test the waters, a lazy attempt at re-entering your life without showing he's grown, shut it down. Don't even blink. Let your silence become a roar, deafening him with its intensity. That silence, it's your greatest weapon. It's the punchline that says everything without you lifting a finger. It's the lesson he needs to hear. You are not someone to be played with, someone to be dipped in and out of whenever it suits him. He'll send that message thinking you're still the same person, that you'll jump at the chance to talk to him again. Let him wait. Let him wonder. Let him feel the weight of your absence, the realization that his careless behavior has already carved a hole between you that can never be filled by a half-assed text. You don't owe him anything. Your presence, your energy, your time, those are not for anyone who can't see your worth. Your silence, it speaks louder than any words he could send. It's not just about his reactions, shock, reflection, boundary testing, seeking closure, emotional responses, or reaching out. It's deeper than that. Your silence isn't manipulation. It's you reclaiming your power, stepping away from the need for validation and standing firm in your own worth. When you stop talking, he feels the void. the absence of the energy he took for granted, the validation he relied on, and it throws him into discomfort. He may retreat, test boundaries, or seek closure. But these are his reactions, not your responsibility. Some may rise to meet you, but even if they don't, it doesn't matter. This journey is about you. It's about discovering your emotional independence, your power to choose. Your peace and self-respect come from within, not from anyone else. You've stepped out of the exhausting cycle of chasing. You've created space to reflect on what truly matters and reevaluate your worth. You are no longer seeking someone else's approval. You are embracing self-acceptance. Now, how will you carry this strength forward? The next time you feel the urge to overextend, pause. Remember, everything you need is already within you. You're not just a woman who stopped talking to a man. You're a woman who chose herself. Share your story in the comments. Let's create a space where women inspire each other to choose their own power. If this video has given you clarity, share it with someone who needs it. Like, subscribe, and thank you for being part of this conversation. Keep choosing yourself. You deserve nothing less.